Hi everyone, Bernard here with the latest Citizen vlog. This is a little bit of a special today. I mean, I've just seen the coronavirus thing, and I think it's deaths in the UK are now just over 1,000. And I think they've been sort of increasing the last 2 or 3 days. I'm not going to get all political about this and everything. It's just a horrible thing, and I'm sure everyone's doing what they can do. But obviously, on the basis of this, I've just been thinking about the season, the football season. You know, I don't want this to be too morbid and thinking about things and talking about things, but obviously, because obviously I like people need to be cheered up as well. You know, they've got the gallows humour, obviously, which you see a lot on Twitter and things like that. But in these vlogs, I like to inform and obviously, but entertain as well, which is what I want to do. And it just made me think now with this COVID thing. I mean, they've come up with all these sort of dates of when this is going to finish, but I just can't envisage it starting again. Football's very unimportant, obviously, on the scale of things now, obviously, but a lot of people do rely on football for, it's a big part of their lives, like religion. Religion used to be in the old days. Football sort of took over a little bit from it, so it is very important to people. A lot of people say, "No, but it is. It's a lot of people's lives revolve around football, rightly or wrongly. I'm not saying it's obviously all these what is it they say, these I think a lot of, certainly a couple of my exes, they're kicking a pig, a pig skin about, 22 men getting paid fortunes, and yeah, you've got to look at that side of it. Of course, you have, and certainly in this thing, how things are at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I think this season's over. I'll be honest with you. I think whatever happens now, nothing's gonna be the same. I mean, psychologically, mentally, physically, all the players who've been playing this game, it's all changed now. The season's ended. It's finished. It's to me, it's null and void. It doesn't matter even if they kick off again in November. Say everything, hopefully all this corona thing's all past. The world's sorted back on track again. Even if we kick off in November, December, and finish off the last 9-10 league games and finish the cup competition, can you see that? I mean, I just can't see that happening. So, I mean, and I certainly can't see it starting before June or July. Obviously, all these players need weeks preparation as well and stuff like that. So it's over for me. I mean, it's very sad for Liverpool. Perhaps we can award them some sort of little plate, little trophy with the picture of the Premier League on. I mean, it is awful. I mean, it is awful. And if it happened to City, we'd be saying typical City, wouldn't we? I mean, whether it's called typical Liverpool, I don't know. That after 30 years wait, this comes along and they lose it. But yeah, to me, it's null and void now. I mean, I think this season's over. And I think, obviously, I don't know what your opinions are. I mean, obviously, when I put a comment out 2 or 3 weeks ago about, should Liverpool be awarded the title, there's a lot of, let's just say hundreds and hundreds of people saying basically no in so many words. So it is a great pity. So the only team to actually win a trophy this year is obviously Manchester City, in my opinion. So when we have a Community Shield, why don't we split the women's and the men's teams, have half and half of against the Etihad, again, for charity, for the NHS, for whatever it is, instead of having the Community Shield. So obviously when football talks about starting, yeah, let's do that. Let's have a City women and City men combined team. So, and they're playing each other. That'll be, I'm sure we could almost fill the Etihad, if not fill the Etihad, especially if the obviously the charity involved, i.e., NHS was going to get the benefit of it. What a great spectacle that would be. I think it would be absolutely fantastic. So sorry, Liverpool, we don't, obviously you're going to miss out, but we're the only team to win the trophy this year. But there you go. I do feel sorry for the Liverpool. Not totally, life, isn't it? I mean, it's life and death at the moment. So I'm sure Liverpool have got a strong enough team to go and win it again next season, because at the moment, the way things are, I would say they do have this, based on what we've seen, then obviously they'll go on and do it again next season. So absolutely no reason why not. So yeah, so I think that's it. Finished. Void. What do you think? I mean, I put my head on the block there. I mean, we might be kicking off football again in 6 to 8 weeks, but there you go. Anyway, what I'm going to do, based on that, on the fact that this season is finished as far as I said, and even if it starts again, it's still finished in my eyes, because it's not the same. I'm not saying they're playing the same game anymore, have we? We've got different circumstances now. It's like a mini season if we kicked off again. Perhaps we'll have I don't know what we could have, but it just, anyway, I've gone through it. I don't think it's the same. I think it's over. I think it's null and void. and I'm very sorry about that. And as such, and a bit on the lighter note, I've done my player ratings for the season for all my. If you watch the vlogs, obviously I give players reviews, so I've literally gone through all my very technical me. I've got all this on computer now, all this paperwork of all the games and all the stats and player ratings, etc. Obviously, come out with my wonderful. I won't mind. I've been looking at. I've been messing about with spreadsheets on Microsoft, so I mean, I could have done it all on there, but it's easy just to do it manually rather than put it on spreadsheets. So I've got all my figures together for the end of season player rating. So I hope you enjoy this. I don't think anyone else has done this so far. Very interesting. It's absolutely very, very interesting what I've come up with as well. A few surprises and a few non-surprises, but there are quite a lot of surprises in there. The criteria I've used is that players have had to appear in at least 10 games, and obviously that includes a meaningful substitution as well. So if they came on with like 20, 30 minutes left and made a contribution, I've included things like that. So I'm not dead specific on playing full games, etc. But they do have to have at least played in 10 games or appeared as sub within that 10 games. So special mentions obviously go to someone like Laporte, who obviously I think only managed about 7 games, but overall, if you take his average ratings, he would have been our star man of the season based. But obviously, he's only done it over 7 games. But if you look at his scores, he would have actually been the player of the season. Which so a mention for Laporte there. Obviously, Taylor Howard-Bellis is the same. He only 3 games, but it was all 6+ is his ratings. My ratings are always 6 for a bog standard game for turning out and not doing anything particularly wrong, or anything particularly fantastic. So 6 was my average all the time. So there's only one player, I'll tell you now, there's only one player who got less than a 6 rating. So, I mean, you have a think who that is before we go into that anyway. But yeah, Taylor Howard-Bellis never let us down. 3 appearances, 6+. Tommy Doyle, 1 appearance. He got 7.5 rating. So he certainly didn't let us down. And that was in the Southampton Carabao Cup, Coca-Cola Cup, where am I going? Carabao Cup game. Bernabé 3 sub appearances, but obviously they were minutes, weren't they? I don't know, probably less than 10 minutes all combined. I'm not too sure on that. Was there anybody else I've missed on the sub appearances? Oh, yeah, special mention again for Matt Garcia. He only came up with 8 games. Every single game, he didn't let us down. He rated more than 6 in every game. And his best game was the Everton game, which does crop up in this a couple of times on New Year's Day, obviously, recently. So his overall score, again, like Laporte, if he took his overall score, it would have actually been player of the season, because he actually beats our player of the season. So again, Garcia, if you'd expanded it or he played at least 10, he would have been our player of the season. So there's a couple of the two players, in my opinion, like Laporte and Garcia, obviously special mentions and fantastic. Never let us down. None of the players who've played this season have let us down. But we ended up with 20 players. That ended up with 20 players who completed 10 games or more. So what I'm going to do is go through them from number 20 down to number 1. So it's quite nice, really, a top 20. So shall we get on with this, please? If you're new to the channel, please push the old subscribe button, push the bell notification so you know when these little vlogs are coming out and specials are doing all these sort of things. I'll have a quick conclusion, sort of information on what's out there and what's coming up at the end of this little vlog. A little vlog, it might go on, well, I've been rattling on for 9 minutes, so let's get on with this. So please, if you're new to the channel, push the subscribe button, push the bell notifications, thumbs up, please. Thumbs up's always appreciated if you can just spare a few moments to do that. And please, comments on this. I mean, you're going to have to plenty of comments, plenty of thoughts on this. I'd love to do these sort of things live, and I will one day when I get better equipment and a bit more know what I'm doing, obviously, which I hopefully will, and a bit more awake. Which I'm not been at the moment because I'm working quite long hours and doing these and things like that. But I'm enjoying it. I wouldn't be doing it otherwise. I'm not doing it because, I'm doing it because I love doing these sort of things for you anyway. So, and yeah, I quite like my jobs as well at the moment. So that's okay. Right. So let's get on with it. Top 20. Number 20. What do you think? Well, here we go. Zinchenko. Obviously our least, and he's the only player who's scored an overall rate. His overall rating for the season is 5.93, so just under the basic 6. So no other City player let us. No, I'm not saying Zinchenko let us down, because I don't think he had a rub of the green really, did on playing wise. He played 14 games. And ironically, his best game was West Ham away, the opening game of the season, where he scored a 7.5. Obviously, one of his worst displays, unfortunately, was Norwich away, which obviously he's probably joined by a couple of others back in September. But again, there was no real consistency with Zinchenko, but he never really got a run of games. And I think that sort of coming at number 20 sort of sums it up, really. I think that's pretty expected. If you were to plan the top 20 players, you certainly Zinchenko would be very low down. The surprise is number 19. At number 19, now, again, I've tried to be, when I do my scores, I try not to be have favourites or people I don't like. There's one or two exceptions, which I'll tell you about. Well, this guy isn't particularly one of my favourites, so perhaps psychologically I've knocked him down a little bit, and you might say, oh, this is unfair. But at number 19, we've got Gundogan. Still can't pronounce his name. And he's only got an overall rate of 6.03. So at least he got above the base level. And he's played 32 games as well. And he scored, Zinchenko scored 1 goal. So he actually contributed 1 goal. So that was pretty good. Gundogan's got 5 goals. Gundogan's got 5 goals. Which for 32 games, yeah, I mean, for the position he's been playing, I suppose. Again, his best effort was, January the 1st against Everton in the 2-1 win for City, and his worst, again, was Norwich away. I mean, that's not consistent throughout this, but obviously comparable, obviously, with Zinchenko. Yeah, so, I mean, he had 10 performances out of that 32 that scored below 6, so that obviously didn't help with his score. What do you think? I mean, obviously, a lot of people do like Gundogan. I mean, he's never been my favourite, but I was very surprised when I came up with this figure. It was nothing deliberate or anything like that, but he comes in at number 19. Number 18, we've got Raheem Sterling. Again, 31 appearances, 20 goals, none since the end of December, the Wolves game. Obviously, none since then. His overall rating is 6.13, so that's not okay. So it's above 6, isn't it? So, I mean, I'm surprised he got above 6, to be honest with you. His best game, again, West Ham United, the first game of the season, and also the 1-1 draw with Atalanta. Remember the 1-1? It's only a draw, but that was one of his better games. And his worst, obviously, was the last game we played against Man United. There's a couple of those as well. That was his worst display. Obviously, and where did it go wrong? Well, I have heard a couple of guys. I was obviously Martin on the other channel, one of the City vlogs, was on about the Gomez incident. And if you do look back at the ratings, and obviously I've done it from the dates on there when I've analysed it, his first really poor game was Liverpool away, which coincided with the Gomez incident, obviously soon after. So, yeah, there's definitely been a real decline since then. There was an improvement in February, obviously, but then obviously he didn't do very well against United. So Sterling's in at number 18 with a 6.13 average, so not great for Raheem Sterling this season. 20 goals, but all in the first half and all before the new year, so not very good at all. And at number 17, we've got John Stones, only 15 appearances, no goals for John Stones. An average of 6.1333, so just above Raheem on that. Only just made it. His best was Villa away in the 6-1 victory in January, and his worst, he had 2 5 out of 10s, which included United at home in December when we were beaten by United 2-1. So that was one of his worst games. Again, not injury problems, not being picked again. Very rarely played 2 games on the trot, so it's no wonder you got inconsistent with Stones. A lot of people are saying he might be on his way, but there you go. Stones at number 17. Number 16, we've got our sub-goalkeeper, Mr. Bravo. He come in at number 16. Played 14 games, so he did all right with an average of 6.14. And his best, the best I've got him down, this is my opinion. I mean, obviously other people have different opinions, was Villa in the cup final. I thought that was his best game for City. But his 2 worst games were against both Merseyside clubs. Were Liverpool away, where he played, if you remember. It wasn't Edison in goal that day, and Everton at home. Although, obviously, we did win that game. That was, to me, a poor display. So they were his 2 worst displays. So, as expected, from a backup keeper, not bad. 6.14, that was very good. But obviously, he's paid a lot of money, isn't he? I'm sure he's on quite a lot of money as a backup keeper, which is probably why we're looking at the future of that. And obviously, he won't be there next season by the looks of it. Number 15, Benjamin Mendy. 20 appearances, no goals, which is fair enough. I mean, you can't really expect too much, can you? I've not looked at assists and things like that. Perhaps next season I'll be a bit more detailed on this. I didn't really know I was going to do a player rating thing before I started, so perhaps next season I'll do stuff like that and various other things. But as I say, within the time scale of I've only very basic player of the season, obviously. Overall, 6.225 for Benjamin Mendy. His best was, again, Everton at home on New Year's Day. One of his worst was Wolves away at the end of December in the 3-2 defeat. That was one of his, put down as one of his worst. And he had six of that. But in all fairness to Benjamin Mendy, of the last 9 appearances, 6 of those were 7+. So he's really, really done very well at the end of the season. And the 4 that came under 6 ratings included the Madrid game. So there you go. Benjamin Mendy, number 15. Perhaps if the season gone on a little bit, he might got a little bit higher because he certainly did improve as time went on. He seemed to look a bit more like the old Mendy, didn't he, by the time the season or this season finished, in my opinion. Number 14, well, Angelino, very good, 6.23, so just above Benjamin Mendy. 11 games, so he did pretty well, including sub-appearances, obviously. His best games were against Southampton, both in the league and the cup, when we played each other within 4 days. They were his best games, and obviously his worst, my opinion, Man United at home in the 2-1 defeat. He only had two performances less than 6 in that 11, but he did okay. I mean, he's got a bit of stick, hasn't he, Angelino? But he's at number 14. He's not our worst player by any means, and now he's gone out on loan, obviously back again. But he didn't particularly let us down. I think people were a bit harsh on him for his, but he was limited, wasn't he? Number 13, unlucky for some, we've got Otamendi. We've got Nicholas Otamendi, 26 appearances in total, including subs, 3 goals, 6.29, so not too bad. His best was Southampton in the Carabao Cup. His worst included Norwich away, 3-2 defeat, and obviously Wolves away, 3-2 defeat. So Otamendi had 3 games less than 6 out of 10, which out of 26 isn't bad. But he had 20 games where he rated anywhere between 6 and 7. So there's quite a bit of consistency with Otamendi, even though obviously, again, a lot of people have been picking on him. Number 12, very surprising, Ederson. He's only come in at number 12 with 30 appearances, and he's got an overall rating of 6.3. His best performance, in my opinion, Everton away in a 3-1 win. His worst included United away, obviously, where he dropped to 4 out of 10, and Wolverhampton Wanderers away, where he dropped to 3 out of 10 for obvious reasons in the 3-2 defeat. And he's had 7 games out of that 30 where he's rated less than 6. So not great for Ederson, and I think that sort of a lot of people reflected on this. I think as the season's gone on about his lack of competition or whatever, but it's not been great. And he's only had, listen to this, since October last year, he's only had 2 games where he scored more than 7 points. So he got a 7 rating or more. 2 games since October. So, all right, a lot of those games he perhaps hasn't had much to do, but that's not great, is it, Ederson? No, so not his greatest season. Number 11, Cancelo. 18 games, scored a goal, 6.36. His best was Villa away in the 6-1 victory. He's got a couple of 5.5s, including Sheffield Wednesday away in the Cup, which, although we won the game, he didn't particularly cover himself in glory. He's done an okay job, again, when asked to, but again, limited time what he's been there. He's done what he's been asked to do. So he's coming at 11. So at number 11, Cancelo. So up to the top 10. At number 10, we got Rodri. I thought Rodri might be a bit higher. He's played the most games. He's either made a sub-appearance or played in 36 games and scored 4 goals. Overall rate is 6.44, which isn't too bad. He's got 4 8 out of 10 performances, including Burnley away in the 4-1 victory. So he's done pretty good. That's 4 8 out of 10 performances, and a lot of the players didn't reach that sort of level of high scores. And his worst games, he had 4 5 out of 10. So he's gone from one extreme to another, including the United at home league game. So yeah, it's the extremes with Rodri. He had a bad November and early December. And 4 out of 5. He had 4 out of 5 sub-6 performances during that time. So he had less than 6 in November and December. So he had a bit of, again, there may have been problems at home. You don't know, do you, these players? It's just interesting when you do the stats like that. And you can see they've had a specific month or a few weeks where they're not quite on the ball. So there may be reasons behind it. So at number 10, anyway, that's Rodri. Number 9, Bernardo, obviously after last season's wonderful performances. He's coming at number 9. It's okay. 32 games, 7 goals, a 6.45 average rating. His best, Watford at home in the 8-0, I've got him down as that. But he's got 3 5 out of 10 ratings, including the 2-2 draw with Palace and United away again. So again, a bit of a patchy season for our wonderful Bernardo. But a little bit of consistency to get to 6.45, but not his greatest season, not compared to last year, obviously. At number 8, and I thought this guy would have been higher, actually. We've got Kyle Walker at number 8. I thought it would have been a bit higher up because I've been quite impressed with Kyle this season. 27 games, 1 goal, 6.52 rounded up. I have to be specific because the next 2 or 3 are quite close. So 6.52, he actually rounded from a 6.5185, so 6.52, but he comes in at number 8. His best was West Ham United again in the opening game of the season, and he's had 5 between 5 and 5.5 out of 10 games, including the Wolves away. So he has done some games, but that's knocked his overall score. This is why I was a bit surprised. So he has had 5 sub 6 games, so that's probably why his scores came in a little bit lower than I thought they would. But since mid-December, he's never been below a 6 rating. So his consistency has been excellent since mid-December. On to number 7. And number 7, Gabriel Jesus at number 7. 26 appearances, 18 goals. Fantastic turnaround on goals, isn't it? Reward on goals. Again, he's 6.52, but he was slightly higher with his average than Kyle Walker. His best, he's got 5 8 out of 10 performances. So again, it's this a bit like Rodri, where he's on 5 games. That included the Madrid away game, where he scored 8 out of 10. But he's got some low ones as well. He got 2 of 4 and 5 out of 10, which included Sheffield Wednesday away, which was by far his worst game. And overall, he's got 5 below 6 out of 10 ratings. So he tends to throw in performances, then really good ones. And again, inconsistency because he's been played out of position and messed about with a little bit by Pep and not always starting. So number 7, I think, is quite good for Jesus. And I've seen a rumour this morning that he's going to go to an Italian team and been sold on the cheap. But I don't know where these rumours come from, obviously. But so not bad for Jesus in at number 7. That's not too bad. And in at number 6, last season, we've seen him playing a competitive game for the last time. David Silva, of course, only played 20 games this season, 3 goals, which is a pretty poor return actually for David. He's not really been prolific, has he, in front of that goal this season. He's not really been getting far enough forward, I don't think. I think that's a problem with a lot of our midfielders this season. They've not got a great goal return. And his overall average is 6.525, so just a little bit better than Jesus and Kyle Walker. His best was Bournemouth away back in August, and his worst, well, I'm not even going to say there's any worse. There's no worse with David Silva, is there? So this is where I'm going to break away. No worse for David Silva. There's no bad games. But interestingly enough, his first 9 games, he had 7 where they were over 6.5 out of 10. So he started really, really well, but he has struggled since. And obviously November, December were particularly poor. And he's only played 6 games since mid-December. So, but we're not going to say too much more. Number 6 for David Silva. So I think it'd be nice to have been in the top 5, wouldn't it? But that's you're thinking now who we've not mentioned yet, aren't you? When we get to the top 5. So David Silva, I don't care. Wonderful season, but number 6 on the City player ratings this season. In at number 5, there we go. Riyad Mahrez. At number 5. Again, some people would have had him a little bit higher. 30 games, 9 goals. Not bad. It could be better again. He's at 6.55, so just ahead, 6.55 out of 10 overall rating, so just ahead of David. His best was Villa away in the 6-1 victory. His worst was Spurs away, Tottenham away. And I was very down. I remember just being really down on that one with him when we lost 2-0. And he has been consistent until about January, but in the last 8 games, he's actually put in 4, 5.5 out of 10 or less performances. So since January, he's gone a little bit downhill, in my opinion. He did okay up to there, but obviously that's not his score. Still enough to get him in the top 5. Obviously at number 5 at 6.55. And we're into the top 4 now. And at number 4, you're still waiting for your guy to be mentioned. At number 4, we've got Sergio Aguero. Only at number 4, 23 games, 23 goals. You can't ask for much more than that, can you? But hey, obviously we've got 3 people better. That's 6.61 out of 10. His best, Villa away in the 6-1 win. And he's had 6 performances of 5.5 or less. That's 25% of his overall performances. So again, consistency with Sergio. He's sort of some games where he's managed to score a couple of goals or an hat-trick, and even though he's not been great, but in the games where he's not been able to score, obviously he's had lower scores. He had 3.5 or 5.5 performances in November. Again, could have been a problem. You don't know. But despite this, obviously all those goals has pushed his rating overall up. So he's still number 4 in the ratings, even though he's had a pretty mixed season. As he's not outstanding by any means, but he seems to have lost half a yard of pace. But those goals have still propelled him up into fourth place, obviously. And at number 3, here we go. Top 3, Kevin De Bruyne, number 3. There you go, 31 appearances. 9 goals, not great. Could be better again, but I think we're saying that about most of the team this year. They could have done a lot better on scoring. Even though we scored a lot of goals, we could have done a lot better. And his average overall is 6.68. His best is the West Ham game. I got him down as a 2-0 victory over West Ham at the Etihad. But his worst, sadly enough, was probably our biggest game of the season, wasn't it? Liverpool away, where he didn't do very well at all. And that's his back in November, and the 3-1 loss. So that's his worst display in my ratings. And he's had 26 of those 31 performances between 6 and 7. So the level of consistency is spot on there, isn't it? So, but without any real stunning things. He's done a couple of good things, but nothing where you could say, yeah, that was great, and sort of thing. And his 2 best performances actually have come in the last 4 games. So obviously he was starting to hit a little bit of peak form just before, obviously, all this virus thing put an end to all that. So that's KDB at number 3. Now at number 2, obviously he hasn't got the quantity of games, but here we go. We got one of our own, haven't we? At number 2, Phil Foden, 14 appearances, so that's why he's qualified. 3 goals, obviously. I think in the cups, I don't think he scored in the league. I might be wrong. Can't remember now. Have I made an error with that? Anyway, scored 3 goals. Overall rating 6.71 out of 10 for Phil Foden. His best games, strangely enough, a couple of Champions League games, Atalanta and Dynamo Zagreb, and obviously Villa in the Carabao Cup final was one of his best. And his worst, the last game we played against United, which obviously he's not alone in that, is in the 0-2 defeat. That was his worst game, and that was the only time in the season he actually dipped below 6 on my markings. And I think probably many of you will probably agree with that. I would have thought, but you'll let me know anyway. So, but only 14 games, but he never let us down. And again, it's a shame. We wanted to see more of it, didn't we? We wanted to see a little bit more of Mr. Phil Foden. But there we go, number 1. I mean, did you think it? Yeah, I mean, most people would have had him up there, wouldn't they? Fernandinho at number 1, played 30 games, 0 goals. But again, he's been playing a little bit further back, hasn't he, than normal? So that's probably why he's got no goals there. But his overall rating, this is the best. No one quite, as I said, apart from Laporte and Garcia, no one actually scored a 7 at all, and he got a 6.83 out of 10 for his overall rating. His best was Everton at home, 2-1 on the 1st of January. Again, there's 3 or 4 players did that. Worst, well, he's only had 2 sub-6 performances, which included the home defeat to United in the league. So that was one of his worst displays. But yeah, Mr. Consistency, I think Fernandinho, I look through his things there, and the consistency levels are tremendous for the 30 games. And he's done a wonderful job. And I think he fully deserves to be our player of the season on these ratings anyway. I mean, I don't know what you think. So that was interesting. So counting down, 20 Zinchenko, 19 Gundogan, 18 Sterling, 17 Stones, 16 Bravo, 15 Mendy, 14 Angelino, 13 Otamendi, 12 Edison, 11 Cancelo, 10 Rodri, 9 Bernardo, 8 Walker, 7 Jesus, 6 David Silva, 5 Mahrez, 4 Aguero, 3 KDB, 2 one of our own Phil Foden, and 1 Fernandinho, our player of the season. So that's my little citizen player of the season ratings. And I say it'll be a bit more high, hopefully, back next year when we get kicked off, whatever that is, because this season's finished. Whatever that is, and we get over this and everyone's well. And let's hope there's not everyone stays fit and well, and there's not too many more deaths to this horrible disease. Sadly, there will be, but everyone keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, and keep yourselves safe and keep your family safe, etc., etc. So there we go, Fernandinho. There you go. Hope you enjoyed that. Please, thumbs up, please. Hope you enjoy. Leave it in the comments or on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at nostalgia_movie if you enjoy movies as well, or at Charles Deneen. So make any comments on there. I'm on Facebook at Bernard Deneen with links to moviegamenostalgia.com, my little website for rare DVDs, posters, and board games if you get a chance to have a look at that. And obviously, there's all more quizzes coming out. Obviously, I've just put out part 2 of the Managers of Manchester City quiz, which takes us from 1993 to 2020. There's a recent Name the Grounds quiz as well, so give you a chance to name some football grounds from little angles and stuff. People quite enjoyed that. I've done an April 2002 in City's World, obviously looking back at Kevin Keegan's wonderful team of 2002. History of Manchester City Part 5 from 10 years from 1924-25 season. That's out there. And obviously we've got some good stuff coming up as well. I mean, on the quizzes, I've got to know your kit. So you got to think of your kits and what year the kit was and the players who wore them as well. That'll be good. Fill in the blank I've done recently as well, which will be appearing over the next 2-3 weeks. So you have to come up with a name or a team or something. It's a fill in the blank little competition. And obviously the Formidables quiz, which obviously looks at Leslie Ross's and Peter Thornton's book, and we look at elements in there and use that book, and she kindly allowed me to use various little questions and using the Formidables book, so you'll be able to look at some of the artwork as well while we're doing that little quiz. That'll be out there as well soon. So anyway, plenty going on with Citizen. Thanks for watching today. As I always say, Fernandinho, number 1. Do you agree? You not agree? But about the top 5, it's interesting, the top 5, isn't it? Mahrez surprised me. Aguero definitely, but again surprised me. KDB, Foden, and Fernandinho. But perhaps you don't think Foden should be in there because he only played 14 games, but you can only play what you're asked, can't you? So very interesting. I enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed it too. Just over 30 minutes. Sorry if it's gone on a little bit long. Just an interesting thing. My end of season ratings and commiserations to Liverpool, but I'm sure we'll put together some sort of little plate or something for you. You know, you won the league with a little picture, perhaps a picture of the trophy on it. I'm not too sure, but I'm just having a bit of fun. It's dreadful, absolutely dreadful, but there are worse things to worry about in the world, obviously. But I'm sure many Liverpool fans won't think that. But hey, I might be totally proven wrong, and we'll give them the league anyway, and we finish it all out behind closed doors, which will be a travesty in my opinion. Because again, it's not the same, is it? It's not the same. The players aren't going to be the same when they come back now, and if you play behind closed doors, it's not going to be the same. So I'm sorry, I don't agree with it. Scrap it now for whatever. 1 trophy winner this season. Community Shield, City Women, City Men combined teams at the Etihad, full house, all for the NHS or whatever we need to put it to. Anyway, thanks for watching. What are you going to do with the rest of the day? Have a great one. Look after yourself, look after your friends, look after your family. And more importantly, let's all look after each other. Let's keep an eye on each other and make sure we're all okay. And we'll get through this one way or the other. Hope you enjoyed this anyway. This is Bernard saying goodbye for now. Hopefully I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.